Yo, this is David Coleman coming live from Detroit, Michigan. Represent True Color. And I watch Black Eyes TV.
Keep your head up, keep your head up. All the shit we been through, I know you fed up. These constant type of pressures, you ain't led up. This country should be happy we ain't teared up.
Nobody love us, let us not pretend. Let us gain our independence and let us not depend. They'll never stop us now, they couldn't stop us then. This country lucky that we only want equality and not revenge. We need to invest in each other, how much you got to spend? I needed your help, my brother, how much you got to lend? You got a black business, I support you. I'm a buy black, the block I want us to buy back. I'm trying to buy that, trying not to get shot at in Babylon with a cop at. I need to see an all black Amazon I can shop at. Stop that, cause a black man is king, black man is quiet, that man a fraud. Cause they wanna leave us with no blessings. I seen blacks get beat peacefully protesting, leaving the street bleeding with no weapons, or get cold treated with no testing. I'm squeezing with no questions.
Keep your head up, keep your head up. All the shit we been through, I know you fed up. These constant type of pressures, you ain't led up. This country should be happy.
Greetings, family. This is Terry Riggs, Mr. Riggs in the house. And you know how things are. This is BLACKICETV7. Please share, subscribe. You know the lovely, jubbly stuff. You know what I mean? This is all the way in the UK, and this is about the UK-USA link-up. And we have someone special in the house. You know, long-time friend. And I'm going to give him an introduction. But I've got to do the drum rolls first. Hi. We got a special guest. I'm going to allow him to introduce himself. Brother, please introduce yourself and who you are.
What's up, Terry? How you doing, bro?
I'm good all the way in the UK. You know,
I'm good, man. I'm good. Well, yeah, we're good friends, and my name is David Coleman, and I'm in from Detroit, Michigan, and I'm representing True Color. My guy Terry called me and asked me to be on Black Eyes TV, and I couldn't turn him down.
Hey, that's what I'm talking about. So, family out there, please hit the like button. Please share it amongst your family and friends, because this is what we call talking with the creatives. We look for many different types of creatives and give them the platform to promote, advertise, and to show what they do and how they got to where they are through their journey. So please, family, just check it out, check up the links, and you know what? Make sure you interact in the comment section and ask your questions. So for further ado, right, I'm going to play a little 6 minutes clip of him giving a little demonstration of the things he does behind the scenes.
Oh, shit. What you got?
So let's quickly look into the archives and look. And as I always say to people, check the archives, because we have a lot of stuff in the archives that is unbelievable. All right. So please check things up, and he's gonna give you some good tips on merchandising. You know. So let's get this thing rolling. Hold on. Let me just get the quick tips. It's a 6 minute introduction before we have our dialogue. Oh, man.
What's up, folks? We're back. I'm actually in Houston, Texas. don't even remember where I was yesterday. Somebody was watching, probably tell me where I was yesterday. Shreveport, Louisiana. We left Shreveport, Louisiana last night. Now we're in Houston, Texas. We've arrived at the venue. Everything is set up. Today is going to be an easy day. And I always start with a tip of the day. So my true color tip of the day is when the venue has a seller. I'm trying to get that light out of my face. When the venue has a seller, appreciate the seller because this is going to be an easy day. All you do is you check your product in at the beginning of the day, and at the end of the night you count it, you check it out. You guys home about your business. So I'm gonna get this damn light out my face. So anyway, I'm walking through here, and I'm give you a chance to see the actual venue sneak peek as usual, and also we're gonna go check out the merchandise booth and see what the house folks have actually set up and what they're gonna sell. And you know, I've got a lot of respect and appreciation for house folks, seeing how for 8 years now I've actually been a house guy myself. Shout out to my family at Shane Park, now the Aretha Franklin Amphitheater, but the Maosi family, the right production, they've been instrumental with me working on the house side of merchandising. Like I said, everybody knows that I've pretty much been the house guy for Shane Park, now the Aretha, for the past few years. So it's been a great opportunity. And plus, you get to go home and get in your bed at the end of the night as opposed to being on the road like I am now. So it gives you some benefits. Pros and cons of everything. But anyway, let's walk through this venue, give you a sneak peek before everything gets started. So we're live in Houston, Texas. I'm gonna flip this camera around and we're gonna take this journey. I said it's like actually, like I said, it's actually a cool venue. Some cool stuff on the walls. This Tucker performed here. Lewis Black, Rent Due. So you go around this corner right here. And some more stuff. So actually, the concert venue area is open room standing. So they got the lights, pretty awesome. So they're still setting up, getting pretty much everything in place. What's going on, Mark? See you out there. It's got good seating. So like I said, it's a cooler venue in Houston, but what I like is the merch area is separate, very well lit, and it's right off the side of the floor, so everybody can walk over here. So like I said, today the house is selling, so you get a chance to see what somebody else does in their setup. So we got a beautiful, take notes, Mark. They got a beautiful setup, actually. They got plenty of room. So they've got everything well displayed. They're using the mannequins. Prices are well displayed, look professional. You can actually look at the shirts too and see they said ask for number 6, ask for number 7. That really helps out when you're doing merchandising because people will come up to you and say, I want the black shirt. You see how many black shirts are on this wall? Or they'll come up and say, I want the Kevin Gates shirt. All the shirts are Kevin Gates shirts. So by putting that ask for number 5 and ask for number 6, eliminates some of the issues. However, somebody's still going to come up there and do it. And they're going to come up there and see and ask you how much of those shirts. And you can see that the price is displayed big as hell. However, somebody is still going to come up and ask, how much are your shirt? Cool merchandise in here. They've got the flat screens in here. I'm quite sure they'll display the performance while it's going on right here. We've got the other shirts and hoodies and everything. And these are the lovely ladies who put everything together. Say hey, y'all, I got y'all on Facebook Live. This is True Color Merchandising. What I've been doing is going from city to city, and every day I give a merchandising tip on different things. So today the tip was when you have the house selling, appreciate it. Yeah. So they'll handle everything. They've done the count in. They've displayed everything. They're pretty much ready to go. We're just waiting on doors so they can make it happen. And then at the end of the night, somebody will come, will count everything out, subtract the 2, and that's what you sold. And then that's an evening. And we're on to the next city. And actually tomorrow is an off day, so you will not hear from me until the day after. We'll be in Dallas, Texas. And after that, I think we're going to Utah or Denver or something like that. But I'm going to keep it short today because it is my off day. So I'm about to go handle some other business. And thanks for watching. Like I said, if you got anybody that's interested in merchandising or needs a merchandising program set up, whether it be an artist or clothing line, share this with them. I will step by step systematically show you how to create a profitable merchandising business. Follow me at True Color Merchandising on Instagram and just hit me up and share. You guys out there watching, share the post. Hey, Ray Burrell, what's up, babe? What's up, Uncle? I'm gone.
Wow. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me now?
Yep, I got you now.
Yeah. So yes, David, let's get back into the situation now.
All right, that's been a minute. That's been a minute. That was 2019, and we haven't been back on the road because of COVID since then.
Yeah. So what has been happening in the US at the moment? Because, you know, I said that you stumbled on something lucky, especially when it comes to merchandise. You was ordering for some stuff, and coincidentally, COVID fits into the same time.
Yeah, man. Yeah, you know, well, right when COVID hit, I had some friends that had reached out to me and asked me, could I source masks? So prior to COVID hitting the United States, I was in the process of finding masks for other companies for France and Greece and, sourcing products from India and Pakistan. So by the time it hit the US, I was already locked and loaded and had product in hand. So I was able to pivot, and be able to help a lot of folks at the same time.
Okay, so David, let's go a bit far back, because we want to give, like, even especially with the youth out there, if they get to see this or able to have the opportunity as they are beginning their road and their track of where they're going in their direction of their journey. Just give us a little info of your path and a little bit of your history of how you got to where you are today.
Wow. Well, to start off, like I'm a second generation entrepreneur. So I got to give a lot of thanks to my father, who actually brought me up, like I said, as an entrepreneur. So I had my first business actually when I was 15 years old, my first corporation, and I wrote my first check when I was 8. So I've kind of been doing this for a while. But as far as the clothing and merchandising part of it, I think I really got interested in it like my junior year in high school. When the Detroit Pistons had won the championship. They won back-to-back championships. And I saw a guy on TV. He was selling championship T-shirts. So I put all my little nickels together, hustled up the money, and got the number to the company that was selling them and bought a case of T-shirts. And that was the first time I ever hit the street actually selling T-shirts and merchandising. And then from there, I went down to Southern University down in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, HBCU, one of the best universities in the country. And while I was down there attending Southern University, I had little different business ventures going on. I was selling air fresheners and doing different things. And I just had an idea where I wanted to start to sell T-shirts and clothing. And this was at the same time when FUBU was just coming out, Maurice Malone, Cross Colors, Carl Kanai, these are the forefathers in the urban clothing industry. So at that time, I had a deep interest in trying to figure out, how that actually worked. While at the time, everybody else was in the process of starting up record companies. Because at the same time, this was when Bad Boy and everybody was coming out, and everybody wanted to have their own record label. And I thought that I wanted to go in a different direction, and I wanted to go into clothing design, merchandising, and just assisting everybody with putting their lines together. So that's kind of how it started. And I would say that's probably back in about 1994. And then from there, it kind of morphed into all different things, from product merchandising to sourcing to, like I said, you saw me on the road with Kevin Gates. That was that little show that you just showed a minute ago, to running concert venues, Essence festivals, Super Bowls. I mean, it just took on a life of its own. I've always treated it as if it's a craft. So I'm a student to the industry, and I never stop learning.
So I want to ask the questions, like from when you was growing and doing the merchandising, because a lot of people don't understand the grassroots of how to start things like merchandising, because merchandise is a big nutshell, because it's just about selling products and services or whatever it is that you're putting forward. But in the forms of your doing your t-shirts or whatever you was doing at the time, what kind of hurdles did you come across at that time when you first began?
Well, last week I was on another show and somebody asked me the same question, and the guy started laughing when I gave him the answer. I said, well, first of all, back when we first got started, there wasn't a Google or an internet for you to just jump online and say, hey, I'm looking for this, type it in, and 100 things pop up right in front of you. You really had to be diligent about how you found out your information. Initially, when I first got started, and I started with the screen printing side of it, I found a guy who was a screen printer, and I went to him and just said, hey, I've got this design. How much would you charge me to print it? I knew nothing about the business. I just knew I needed some t-shirts printed, and I knew that I needed, somebody to print them. And then he gave me the proposition of, how about I teach you how to print the shirts yourself, and I charge you a discounted price. So, I immediately jumped on that, lo and behold, to find out that he wasn't giving me a discounted price. So he raked me over the coals with that. But the knowledge that I got was, I'm still using it to this day. So like when I would go inside of one of the screen printing shops, I might see a trade magazine and I would like write down the name of it. I might see the name of some equipment and I would, just write the name of the equipment down. And as soon as I would leave out of the building, I would, start to do my research and try to figure out, who the distributors were and how to locate those products.
But like with the youngsters, they will say, oh, but then how did you make your money, or did you make a good profit out of the game? Because doing that running around, because what I know, like when we talk about Tupac, and Tupac said he used to sell out of the boot of his car, and travel around, there is a lot of expenses, because not a lot of us know our financial how can I call it? They don't have no form of financial education. So it's how do we deal with profits? How do we pay our taxes? How do we do certain things? But in that time that you was on the roads, what are kind of the hurdles that you came across?
Well, like to first start off, one of the benefits that I had is I'm a natural hustler, like I said. So, I just have hustle instilled in me. It's one of the, gifts that I have. And I was able to recognize it at a young age. So when we initially started our first year, we took $200, which was actually a loan from my late uncle, Hallison Young. He loaned me $200, and we took it in 12 months, and we turned it into about $54,000 in the sales. So we took that $200 and bought our first, set of shirts. We did exactly what you said. We at that time I was still in college. So I was able to use the college campus to sell shirts. And then also I was, I would go from Southern to Grambling. So I would visit the different universities. And right at the same time this was happening, over here in the United States, we used to have this major festival called the Freaknik. And it was a huge, huge festival. And right at 94 is right when it peaked. So right at that time, myself and I had a partner that I kind of brought in. I was the brainchild and had one of my guys from Detroit. And I was asking him, what, did he want to be down? And he said, yeah. So we took off to Atlanta with just 2 cases of shirts, which was 144 shirts, $40 in gas money, and a mixed CD. And we drove from New Orleans, Louisiana to Atlanta, Georgia, which is about 600 miles. And luckily I had family that had got me a hotel room on their credit card, and they told me just pay after I sell all my shirts. So that's what we did, man. We showed up in Atlanta. We checked into our hotel room, and then loaded our backpack up with t-shirts, and then we hit the streets and we started selling.
Okay, because one of our good friends, we both know, and his name's Mr. Ed.
Oh yeah, that's my guy, man. I love him to death. That's Moves Management. He's the one that put us together.
Yeah, because he mentioned one thing, and he said that you established a building up a warehouse.
Yeah.
I want to know, how did you get to even creating to building a warehouse? Because going on the streets is one thing, then going into a warehouse is another.
Yeah, it's funny. Like Ed is, like I said, man. That's like one of my truest and best friends in the world, and he was a part of that journey. He came in and look right after I actually had started. We had a mutual friend that was actually my cousin that passed from Lou Gehrig's disease, but he was Glenn Montgomery. He was the one that put both of us together because them two had played college football. They played for the University of Houston, and then both of them had got drafted and played professional football. So at the time, I had just got my business started, and I was just meeting Ed coming out of college. And once I graduated from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, I had decided to move to New Orleans, which is about 70 miles away from Baton Rouge, which would be considered the big city. And when I got to New Orleans, is kind of like how Ed and I kind of met right at that time. So he caught me right on the cuff of just getting started. I maybe had been selling for maybe a year, not quite. And him and I had crossed paths. And, like I said, we've been friends since over 20 something years. But when I got down in New Orleans, I knew what I wanted to do. I had a vision, I had direction, and I had a lot of hustle. And I at the time, it's kind of like a gift and a curse. When you are a trendsetter, you see things that are happening far beyond what other folks can see. And, a lot of times you're just ahead of your time. And that's what we were back then. We were really ahead of our time. A lot of the things that we were doing, folks didn't understand it. And I knew that, selling stuff on the street was a start because I had to, get things going. But I knew eventually that in order to, be big business, we had to make those adjustments. So the building that he was talking about is like a 26,000 square foot warehouse that we took over down in New Orleans. It was about 2.5 blocks from the New Orleans Superdome. And we went up in there and we just went to work. New Orleans is a great place for tourism. So when I was down there, I went from actually selling on the streets to actually putting on my suit, going in the mayor's office, making friends with the director of entertainment for the city of New Orleans. Amtrak. I started doing business with Amtrak train services, Bally's Casino. I started just going after the corporate dollar. And from there, things began to grow. Back then, you either did one type of printing or the other. There's contract, custom, and preprint. And either you did one or the other, but not all three. And at the time, I felt that I could do all three of them and use the other ones to generate revenue for the designs that I wanted to create. And that's pretty much what we did, and the company took off. It grew. And within less than 3 years, we actually had bought the fastest growing embroidery company in the state of Louisiana. We went from being their number 2 client to doing a leveraged buyout to actually going in and buying the company.
Oh, and that's one thing I wanted to know. In that form of buying the company, what kind of hurdles did you have to go through? Because some people just think, oh, you just go to a place, buy the building, and that's it. But because you're buying the company itself, what kind of things did you have to go through to buy the company?
Oh man, wow. I mean, there were all kind of challenges, and at the time you got to remember we didn't have the knowledge and experience that I have now, so I would call myself still green. I had more ambition than I had knowledge. I had more hustle than I had knowledge, so that for what I didn't know, my hustle, made up for it. And when what we did was, as the business was growing, I had read a book when I was coming out of college called Why Should White Guys Have All the Fun? And it's the autobiography of a guy by the name of Reginald Lewis, who was considered the first black man to negotiate $1 billion leveraged buyout with Beatrice Foods. And his concept was that we typically as black people feel that we have to start a business from the ground up, 1 + 1 is 2, do all the hard work and work there in 20 years. And finally you get there. And his concept was, why do we have to do that when they have, and he just referred it to white guys where they'll go out and they'll buy an existing business or they'll buy something that's already up and going and they'll move past the learning curve. So I took that and applied that to purchasing the embroidery company.
Okay, so in forms of the t-shirts itself, and sometimes we have to understand our products. So what kind of t-shirts, because as I know, for first is the print and then you do the embroidery, but what would you say is that gave you that kickstart in the fact of what type of t-shirts were you creating, or what was you putting together?
Well, I always viewed a t-shirt as a walking billboard. So when I first got started, and coming from Detroit, not all of us, but, we're known for being fresh. We're a fashionable city. So, I always took pride in how I dressed and the clothes that I picked out. So I just applied that to a t-shirt. It's a walking billboard, so by it being a walking billboard, it could be something that you wear to the mall. It could be something that you wear out. Or it could be something that you wear when you're cutting the grass and you're going to sleep. And all of that really depended on the design of the shirt and the quality of the shirt. So, I felt that if you made a really nice product that had a really catchy design and puts like artwork on a t-shirt, folks would wear it. And if they really liked it, it would turn into their favorite shirt, and at that point, you wear your favorite shirt when you go to your favorite places. You wear your favorite shirt when you're stepping out. So now you pretty much just bought something from me. I made the money and you're advertising my product. So, my job was to continue to create quality product, quality designs, and find a way to get them out there. And I felt that the rest would take care of itself. So kind of like a grassroots type situation, so to speak.
Yeah, because, one thing that I've learned for a very long time in the fashion world is that I was taught in forms of people being walking billboards. It's the reason why when you have the high scale brands where they tapped into the casual market, and one thing I've known about the casual, it's like their promotional wear. In the fact, the real factor is that they're supposed to be giving it out for free, but they found a way where they can charge people for the promotional wear and able to have that person to become in that walking billboard. In reasons why they will have like t-shirts and things with like the certain big brand names on the t-shirt, and you see these people thinking that they're buying something of quality, but not realizing that they're just a walking billboard in that factor.
Yeah, true. And actually, it's like a twofold thing, because a lot of times, I'm into apparel merchandising, which could fall into the lane of fashion, but also, perfect example, it could fall into just product advertising. And what I mean by that is when I first got started, Amtrak train service over here in the U.S. is like that's our main train service that takes you anywhere around the country. And I had the opportunity to work with some of the product line directors. And the concept that I told them was, hey, why don't you allow me to create some nice quality shirts for you guys to sell on the train? That'll generate revenue for you guys, because at the time they were taken over by the federal government because they were losing money. Like the system was it just wasn't making any money, but it was so big and it was our main transportation system that the government had to back it up. So I said, well, why don't you guys look for creative ways to generate revenue, and selling product with the train's logo or name on it will be a great start, and a couple of the folks that ran some of the train lines thought that it was a good idea. So I created some t-shirts, I created some polo style shirts, I created some hats, and the folks, they sold them on the train. So when people would ride the train from Chicago to New Orleans, they'd get on there and they want to buy a keepsake. And since it was a nice quality shirt, since it was a nice quality design, they immediately purchased it for themselves and for friends. And then at the same time, it helped the Amtrak train line, because now you just had somebody purchase your product, and they're paying you to advertise your stuff. And that was the one way of looking at it. And then on the other way of looking at it, like you talked about as far as marketing, is when I'm working like in the music industry and I'm working with different artists, we would set aside a budget for a certain amount of shirts to be given out under the budget of marketing. So, when we got ready to go on tour, I'd sit down and put together a program, and they would say, hey, David, we want to give out 500 shirts. Okay, well, if you want to give out 500 shirts, then that needs to come under our marketing budget. How are we going to cover the cost of the shirts? Because we still have to produce the shirts. How does that get covered? And then typically what they would do is they would shift money from the marketing budget, or they would write that off as a marketing product. and kind of like make it work like that. And at the same time, like you said, you feel like you're getting something, which you are, but at the same time, on the business side, you're not just giving something away. You know, you're taking it and you're benefiting from it.
Okay, so we got to this point where I want to know how, in form of sending the T-shirts, and how did you do that joint adventure with the music industry? Because a lot of people ask these questions because there's a lot of big companies that people don't really know about. I don't know if you can explain on that side of things, but then there's a lot of music companies that have a merchandise company on its side of it, in forms of trying to control the copyrights. So I want you to give us just go on about these companies and talk about the copyrights, because people just think that they could just put any picture on a T-shirt, but there isn't such of a copyright which you can actually get sued about. Yeah.
So like with the artist, you know, I would always go to an artist and find out either the artist or their management, you know, whoever's handling it, and find out first of all, what are we trying to accomplish? Are we creating a product to sell while we're on road? You know, so when we're doing tours, we have touring product. Or is it product that you want to put together a website and in turn sell on your website as artist merchandising?
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes you can mix those things. Sometimes they live in, just in separate spaces. Like the last tour that I just did, we did a tour shirt. So that particular shirt had on the back of it all the cities that we visited. And then it had dates on it. So those are things that you'll typically, you'll sell while you're doing that run, or that tour. Then on the other side of that, there might be standard merchandise that the artist has where they put their likeness, their logo, lyrics, whatever, or their brand or whatever they have tied to their brand, and they sell that as well. So it's like I said, sometimes they live in the same space and other times they're separate.
So in saying that, you have like a family business, right?
Correct.
And as you said, your wife does a lot of tours and things like that. Have you had that kind of forms of joint adventures?
Yeah, well, my wife actually, she had an artist management company over the years. She's managed several different music artists. So like I was like an arm of what fully took place. Over the last few years, she's kind of pivoted and started doing more corporate events instead of touring on the road. But in the earlier years when we first met, we would actually go out on tour together, which is pretty awesome. So we've had a chance to travel all throughout the United States and overseas. Actually, we went to South Africa together and did a couple of shows. But it was what I did complemented what she did as a whole. She had to make sure that everything was running, and the merchandising was just one part of everything that was taking place. But what a lot of folks don't realize is as an artist, especially for an up and coming artist, is a lot of times your merchandise will generate more revenue than your actual performance fee when you're just getting started, and then as you begin to grow, it can supplement and add to it. And so it's a way of actually getting your name out there and branding yourself. But it's also one of the other ways that you generate revenue, because when you stop and think about it, if you're getting paid for a paid performance, then you get your performance fee. But then how do you generate other revenues while the concert is taking place? And then that's through the sale of your merchandise.
So in you did merchandise. What kind of merchandise did you used to do for the artist, and what kind of artists did you actually work with?
Man, I've been super blessed. I've worked with just all kind of artists from just one extreme to the other. When I first got started, I kind of fell off into it. This was back when I was in New Orleans with Big Ed down in New Orleans when I had that warehouse. And actually, the time that you and I met, remember we met at the Jazz Festival.
Yeah.
So back when, I was working with the Jazz Fest back in the late 90s. And at the time, they had already had somebody who were making their T-shirts. but they gave me a proposal and said, hey, we have somebody making our shirts. However, can you sell them? And I was like, why not? If, you know, if I can't make them, I can sell them. Or if I make them, I can make them and I can sell them. You know, it was one of those type of situations where there was money on the floor and it was either you could get it one way or the other. And I was willing to step off into it and try it. And what it did was it opened up a whole nother world to me as far as the concert merchandising. And at the time, honestly, I didn't realize it. I didn't realize it till years later when I looked back at some of my notes. And this might have been probably maybe 10 or 11 years later, because the first artist that I ever sold merchandise for was Carlos Santana and Ray Charles.
Okay.
So yes, and I mean, I know you guys know both of those names over there. Those are international artists, you know, and by default, you know, the guy said, hey, you want to sell their stuff? And I, of course, yeah, why not? You know, and then, you know, like 20 something years later, I look back on it and now I've sold stuff from Erykah Badu, Snoop Dogg, Kevin Gates, Diana Ross, Smokey Robinson, John-Luc Laponte, jazz artist. Man, you name it. I've been blessed to.
Who would you say is the most difficult artist?
The most difficult artist, man, it's a guy by the name of R.J. Watkins, man. He's local up out of here, out of Detroit, man. He's a Detroit legend. But it's like soon as the show shows, as soon as you get the call, you know it's going to be something extra. You know, no, I'm sorry. L.J. Reynolds, that's his name, L.J. Reynolds. Yeah, he man, he's just extra, bro. As soon as you see the phone, like typically when you run a venue, there's a venue split. So the venue gets a split, and the artist gets a split, and it's pretty standard. And when a venue sets it up, it's just about etched in stone, just about, you know, unless you have somebody who can command and come in there and negotiate a different split, and that's usually done in the beginning. And this dude, every time he shows up, he wants to change the numbers. Every single time he wants to change the numbers. So I was like, man, we're not doing this dance. We already know what it is. So, you know, outside of that, everybody's pretty cool, man. You know, sometimes you get a chance to, you know, work directly with the artist. Other times you don't. But I've always, in the past, my practice has been to talk to the artist and see if I can get them to come out to the merchandise area to help push their product, because it always increases sales when you can get, you know, an artist to come out there and do it. I really got my big break and my big push and my big start working with an artist by the name of Kim. Kim is an R&B artist. He's actually from Detroit. He's a Motown artist. So I actually toured with him for 7 years and really got a chance to like dig in and you know, and understand how to put together these programs and how to do different tours and different runs and set up his internet, his website, his back end merch, promotional merch. You know, there's different parts of the merchandising game also. So I got a chance with him to touch, you know, each and every one of those. And I typically had a lot of creative leeway to kind of come up with things that would just sell.
Okay, give us a little breakdown in different merchandise that there is, because a lot of people, they when they say merchandise, the first thing they just think about is just T-shirts. But there is more to merchandising than just T-shirts.
Oh, by far. So typically we refer to it as hard and soft goods. Your hard goods are usually your music, your CDs, your vinyl, your posters, paper printed items, and then your soft goods are your wearables, your hats, your T-shirts, your hoodies, your jogging pants, you know, your socks, you know, things like that. So they're broken down into two different categories. And when you show up to a venue, usually your split price is one split for one split for the other. And then as far as putting it together for different artists, you really have to understand, you know, talk to the artists and find out, you know, what is their demographics, you know, who are they trying to hit? And that typically has a lot to do with how you begin to put together their program. You know, Charlie Wilson with the Gap Band. I know you guys are familiar with Charlie Wilson over there, international star, but Charlie Wilson has an older fan base, and he came up with these, man, like these fedora sparkly hats. And I'm telling you, these hats sell like hotcakes. You know, it's just a symbol of Charlie Wilson and, you know, and his band and his merchandising thing. And they go all around the world, and, you know, they have the T-shirts and the bags and the golf towels. But these hats have, you know, over the years have been one of the things that just have sold and generated a lot of revenue for them. So that's something special for him. Man, I did a Snoop Dogg a couple of years ago, and he had some hoodies and sweatshirts. And then they also had like a little roach clip where you could take your blunt and stick your blunt in it and smoke. So, I mean, it was Snoop Dogg, it all tied into it. So it all depends on, like I said, which artist it is and what base you're trying to hit.
Okay. So, going on the tours, who would, as I said, as we spoke about certain artists and who was your worst artist, but who would you say that was the most fruitful and best artist that you had, that you said, you know what, this tour is going to be off the chain?
Oh man, well, that's like a kind of a twofold thing, because I've had a chance to dance in a couple of worlds. I just recently came out of the hip hop world, and then, you know, but I made my bones in the R&B world. So they're like two different things as far as touring. But as far as people that are special, I would say that Kevin Gates and Kim, both of them are in their own right, were special. I knew about Kevin Gates. My daughter knew more about him than I did, but I had got the call from one of my mentors in the industry, Marvin. And Marvin had hit me up and was like, baby bro, you want to go out? I got something for you. And he would always call me and ask me that I want to go out. And most of the time I tell him, no, man, I'm not going out. I'm at home. I'm doing something else. And this particular time, he was sending me out to do a Wale tour. So I was going out to do a tour with Wale, and they had sent me out because one of the other guys, he just didn't have the stuff right. So they were going to fire somebody and have me replace him. So they put me on an airplane, flew me down there. When I got down there, it was actually funny. The guy that I was supposed to fire was one of the first guys I ever took out on tour with me. He was one of our youngins. So he had messed up one night, and he was trying to figure out how to fix it. And we had decided to keep him on that tour and keep everything smooth. And then he was like, well, I got a Kevin Gates tour coming up next week. You know, you interested in doing that? And it was a 40-city tour. So I was like, yeah, sure, why not? I'm already out here. Let me go out here and let me jump on this Kevin Gates tour. And when I went out there to do that, it was Kevin, Rob Wade, and Booby Black. You know, it was just amazing to see his connection with the crowd, and also how he reached all different ethnicities. You know, it was from, you know, white folks, black folks, Asian folks. I mean, it didn't matter. Everybody knew who he was. And I mean, we did a US tour riding through some of the countries and small towns in America. And when we ride on tour, we typically wear our swag, which is the artist merchandise. So for a whole month and a half, pretty much every day I had on a Kevin Gates something, shorts, hoodie, socks, something said Kevin Gates. And when we'd be riding through these small towns and we'd have on our sweatshirts, people would be like, you know Kevin Gates? And, you know, my surprise was, do you know Kevin Gates? You know, and it was just amazing to see the different folks from different walks of life and different ages who actually knew of the artist. So that would be my one as far as in the hip hop world. And then as far as the R&B world, like I said, I had mentioned Kim. He just has a special voice, and he just has a super loyal following. You know, they you know, his following is very strong, and they like him and they support him. So it's kind of good to go out there and kind of see those guys go out there and make that magic happen, and also be a part of that in your own special way.
So in the facts of that's going on, and you know, you go to the Kevin Gates, because that was 2019, you said.
That was actually the last tour, because COVID killed everything last year. And so none of us have really been on the road, unfortunately, because of COVID. The concert venue, I actually for the past 9 years, I've been the house guy for amphitheater in Detroit. It was formerly known as Shane Park. Now they named it after Aretha Franklin Amphitheater. After she passed, in her honor, they changed the name of it. But for like I said, for the past 8 or 9 years, we do summer concerts in there. It's like a 3-month concert series, and we have a Jazzy Wednesday. So every Wednesday we would have jazz artists, well-known international jazz artists, come through and perform. And then on the weekends we would have R&B and hip hop concerts. So last year, because of COVID, we had none of that. And like I said, my last tour ended on December 1st, 2019. So I went right into 2020, and all my road family, everybody's anxious to get back out there on the road and get back at it.
So in saying that, right, how have you survived through this COVID to roughly now? What type of business, or how did you revamp your business, or what new adventures are you doing? Because it's a total new ball game now, since there's no concerts at the moment.
In my Jay-Z voice, I'm a hustler, baby. I said, I just want you to know. We had to pivot. Like I said, I'm a second generation entrepreneur. This is my primary business, but I do own other businesses, and I've been able to kind of fall back on those businesses and actually use them to expand. But we had to do a pivot. Initially, like I said, when we first started talking about this, I told you I was printing T-shirts and doing the screen printing and embroidery and things like that. And over the years, as I began to grow and expand, my original partner, one of them passed, the other one, we went separate ways, and I had to reinvent myself and come up with a new company and a new situation. And when I did that, at that time, I began focusing solely on the merchandise side of it, not the printing side like I initially started. So what's happened now is we're reverting back, and how history repeats itself and things come full circle is now what we're doing is we're in the process of setting up in-house production again. So by the end of first quarter, we will be back in full production doing in-house garment decorations, doing embroidery, and this time we're going to do a direct-to-garment print as opposed to screen printing. Screen printing, in my opinion, is kind of like the CD. People still use it, but it's slightly obsolete and dated. Direct-to-garment, DTG, is what it's referred to now. It has taken on the face of screen printing.
So now what we was talking about earlier, in forms of like drop shipping and talking about like Shopify, and because you do the T-shirts, you said you was coming to doing something big.
Yep.
Within the Black community, in forms of having it being Black owned.
Yep.
So the insight of what that's all about.
Man, you can start to call us the Black Shopify. That's what we're going after. E-commerce site set up to where it's Black owned and operated. And what we're doing is, for the lack of better understanding, we're setting up an online mall. So for folks to try to get an understanding of it, say you have your own T-shirts, say you have your own lotion, whatever it is that you have, you can come into our online mall. We'll assist you in setting you up with your own website, and it's all directed towards you, and you pretty much sell your product. As far as the print fulfillment, you mentioned that. The other part of that is what we can also do is we would be able to assist you in your printing of your product. So say maybe you've just got a couple of nice designs. And you want to place them on a T-shirt, a pillow, a sweatshirt, or something like that. Then what we do is we show you how to set your website up, pick out the shirts or garments that are available. And when somebody purchases it, all they do is press a button, they make the purchase, and then you send it to your print fulfillment company. So the print fulfillment company, which is us, what we do is we print it and we send it out for you, and then you just keep the difference. So in dollar wise, just for the sake of understanding, say you sell a T-shirt, and I tell you, well, hey, for me to make this shirt, it's going to cost you $10. You say, okay, well, I want to sell this shirt for $25. All right, well, you go to your website, you mark it up for $25. When somebody purchases the T-shirt online, you immediately have the $25 in your bank account. So then what you do is, you take the $10, you send it over to your print fulfillment company, which is us. We produce the shirt and ship it out, and you're able to do business like that and focus on marketing and moving your business, as opposed to being caught up trying to figure out how to market, how to manage, how to produce, and how to get things going. And that's really the way that the culture and the industry has been going, especially with the younger generation. The print fulfillment is just really where it's at now, especially after COVID. Online shopping has increased tremendously. Brick and mortar stores are they're slowly but surely closing down. They're suffering. So this is the direction that our industry is going, and we're going to be on the forefront of that. Like I said, Black Shopify, that's what you can call us. And it's actually the True Color Marketplace is what we're going to be.
So how are we going to, that you get certain Shopifys, they do a lot of drop shipping.
Mm-hmm.
If someone wanted to do some form of drop shipping with this thing, what kind of companies do you deal with in the fact of producing a product? Because if I have a store on your stuff,
mm-hmm.
Some of it's not going to come straight from me. Some of it's going to probably come from your direction.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people ask within the States itself,
mm-hmm.
how fast can the delivery and the thing be done? Would it take a certain amount of days, or would it take a week? But I know abroad, sending something abroad might take a bit longer.
Right.
Or in your format, let's say, for instance, from New Orleans to Detroit.
So to industry standard, there's typically a 14 to 30 day processing in that period, and that's for a custom piece. Because when you begin to do drop shipping like that, and it's print fulfillment, the beauty of it is you're not housing inventory.
Mm-hmm.
So you're looking at about a 2-week cycle. Like I said, right now it's just really, we're in a strange time, all over the world, because our mailing system is so backed up, just because they did not have the infrastructure and the capacity to deal with the influx of everybody purchasing stuff online. They were working towards it, but when they got hit with it like this, you've got Amazon and everybody else selling this stuff. So it's tending to slow things down. But I mean, that's something that's out of our control. What we can control is when the order comes in, how long it takes for us to produce it, to immediately get it out there. Some of the ways to get past that are to use FedEx overnight shipping, which is a little more costly, but at the same time, it guarantees your customer, the ability to receive it in a faster way. And most of the time, 99% of the time, that cost is handed over to the customer. So, you pay for your cost of good, but also you give them the option of, say, do I want expedited shipping, or do I want to go standard shipping?
I use Monday.com.
Hold on, there's something could just intervene. Sorry about that.
That's
but yeah, in the fact of this Shopify, when do you think this will be started, and how can people interact with this Shopify? So
right now we're just getting the final bugs and everything out. We will have it released by, that's the 1st of March is our release date. Right now everything is pretty much up and going, and we're just tweaking some things and making sure that everything runs smoothly. You and I talked about it, and what I wanted to do is share with the viewers and give them something special. So anybody who mentions BLACKICETV, I'm going to share my email address. If they mention in the email that they saw this on BLACKICETV, we'll set them up with a complimentary website. That's compliments of my guy Terry. Terry said he'll pay for everybody who comes through BLACKICETV. He's got you.
You really want me to go bankrupt?
Yeah, we on a serious note though, yeah, we will offer that, and it's It's pretty simple. It's hello at True Color Marketplace, and we spell True Color a little bit different. We spell it the way you guys spell it. It's true. It's TRU, but color is COLOUR.
Okay.
So it's hello at truecolormarketplace.com. Just drop us an email and tell us that you saw, you got this information from Black Ice TV. And what we'll do is we'll keep you close to us. And when we launch, what we'll do is we'll send you that special offer.
Let me quickly look and let's see if we can actually find this, pull this website up.
Well, yeah, no, don't pull that. That ain't ready yet. Don't do that one yet.
Secrets going on.
Yeah, we still beating it out, man. I'm staying up to 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning whooping that one in place, man.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in the rest of what's been happening in this COVID, and it's a lot of struggles. There was one thing that I always noticed that you did, but we haven't really tapped onto that, and that is how are you helping the youth coming up in the fact of your creativity? Because there was one video you did send to me ages ago, which you had an intern or some young one that you was training in that thing. But is that project still going on?
Yeah, man. I'm always working with the youth and interns. I'm actually wow, that's a whole nother show and a whole nother subject. But I am a Prince Hall Shriner and a Prince Hall Mason, and I'm the director of Shriners as mentors for the state of Michigan. Mm-hmm. So I have the daunting task of making sure that we keep our organization on task of making sure that we reach out and we are pillars of the community and assisting our youth as an organization. Personally, also, I sit on the board for Boy Scouts of America, the Renaissance District, which is like the Detroit area. So people that are familiar with the Detroit area know that this is an urban area, and our suburban cities typically, most of them are offshoot urban cities. So I spend a lot of time with just giving our kids the opportunity and exposure to things that that kids in other areas have that we don't, just because of financial issues and just different lifestyles. Mm-hmm. So I do that on a regular basis. But as far as with True Color personally, over the years, it's been an honor to work with some of my mentees and watch them grow. Now, one of my first mentees was actually a guy by the name of Devontae Home. I think when Devontae came to me, he was maybe about 17 or 18. And that's when I had really first started my mentorship program. And it was maybe about 8 or 9 kids that were involved, but he just stuck out. I would give him a task. He would do it. When we would get ready for tours, I would say, hey, look, I'm going to be here. I want you guys to come and learn how to set the product up to get ready to go out for the tour, whether it was counting the shirts, separating the shirts, packing, there were all different things that were involved. And this at the time, I called him a kid because he was a kid back then. He always figured out how to get there. I didn't have to pick him up. Now, he might be in the wrong place, or he might have caught the wrong bus, and I had to go get him from being in the wrong place. But he always made this effort, and it just always stuck out. So, and as he was doing that, he was also an up and coming artist. So, he raps, and, he really took a liking to what I was doing, and he took heed to what I was telling him as far as understanding his merchandising part of his business, because as he was doing his small shows, he always would figure out how to have his 2 and few T-shirts. He'd get his few supporters to, buy his merchandise, and that would be a couple extra dollars, because he might even be performing for free, but he might sell 12 to 15 shirts that night. So now he just got his name out there, and he just made a couple of dollars. So I'm super proud of actually Devontae. Also, I had the opportunity when we first met. He had a young daughter. Now he has 2. And, I got a chance to talk to him about being a young man and the responsibilities of being a father. So, it was all tied in to just spending time with him, showing him, how to do one thing, and getting a chance to, know him for who he was, and just share some thoughts with him.
Okay. So as we're coming to an end, how can the family reach out to you in forms of your social media and email address, and any other forms that they can contact you with?
Yeah, on Instagram, like right now, the easiest way to catch me is True Color Merchandising or True Color Merch. It's all the same, it's merch for short, but True Color Merchandising. That's TRU COLOUR. And then as far as emailing, you can always reach out to me personally by way of email. It's david@truecolormerchandising.com. You know, you can go to the website, True Color Merch, True Color Clothing. That's something we didn't touch on. I'll have to get back with you and talk to you about that. True Color Clothing line is actually, I'm turning over that part to my younger daughter. Yeah, she just recently graduated from college, and she told me that she wanted to take on the True Color Clothing aspect of it, and she wants to turn it into a streetwear line. So she's currently working at Louis Vuitton down in Atlanta, and she's going to incorporate, you know, whatever her thought is and whatever the youth design is to that, and I'm going to turn it over to her.
Okay, so family, you've heard it straight from as they say, the goat's mouth. The one and only David. And we're going to come back again. Hold on, family. Let me just bring that back. We're gonna come back, and we got another special guest next week. But before we even go, David, if there is something special you would like to say to the family, what would you like to say to them?
Man, you know, first and foremost, show the world your true color. Be you. It's individuality. Go to the website, truecolorclothing.com. Check it out. Like it, share it, support it. I definitely like to give a big shout out to Moves Management and our guy Big Will down in New Orleans for putting us together a couple of years ago. You know, he's one of those guys, a lot of times he doesn't get the credit for the things that he does because he likes to stay behind the scenes, but he's very instrumental in the success that we have. Shout out to Queen Diambe, you know, our Queen Mother, and and everybody's just been supporting, man. And I support you in Black Eyes TV. You know, whenever you need me, bro, I'm always here. You know how we do it. Yeah, and I got my Shungite right here. You see my Shungite?
Today I'm wearing something else at the moment, but I always got my Shungite close by. Or I got the big stone somewhere, but you know, it's all about family, and it's all about working together and all unification. As we always, in our great belief is Black family first. So peace and love and harmony, family. Hope you've enjoyed a little bit of information. And as I said, we'll be back 8 o'clock at this time once again, and we'll be giving you a lot more info. So please bless this station, subscribe, share, and always spend black, believe in black, and create your movement in black, because it's just one black family.
That's right.
Love and harmony.
Yo, this is David Coleman coming live and direct from Detroit, Michigan, representing True Color, and I watch Black Eyes TV.
Keep your head up, keep your head up. All the shit we been through, I know you fed up. These constant type of pressures, you ain't led up. This country should be happy we ain't teared up.
Nobody love us. Let us not pretend, no. Let us gain our independence and let us not depend. They'll never stop us now, they couldn't stop us then. This country lucky that we only want equality and not revenge. We need to invest in each other, how much you got to spend. I needed your help, my brother, how much you got to lend. You got a black business, I support you. I'ma buy black, the block I want us to buy back. I'm trying to buy that, I'm trying not to get shot at in Babylon with a cop at. I need to see an all black Amazon I can shop at. Stop that, cause a black man is king, black man is God. Any black celebrity quiet, that man a fraud. Cause they wanna leave us with no blessings. I seen blacks get beat peacefully protesting, leaving the street bleeding with no weapons, or get COVID treated with no testing. I'm squeezing with no questions.
Keep your head up, keep your head up. All the shit we been through, I know you fed up. These cops are precious, you ain't